It's the Cool Kids Club. You've been invited to the Cool Kids Club. It's so exciting, yeah. Justin likes monsters, yeah. And Amy likes words in the Cool Kids Club. Cool Kids Club.
Hey, welcome back to the Cool Kids Club podcast, episode number 98.
Ooh, tantalizingly close.
I know. Good year, 98.
Good
but
year.
Not the year we're talking about today.
good
I'm
one.
Justin.
Well, I'm Amy, your sister.
Well, hey.
Most
how's
of
it
your
going?
life. How's it going? Pretty good. Pretty good. How about you? How was your Christmas?
Well, you were there, so, you know.
I
it
know. I'm
was
just
pretty
trying to
good.
make conversation for the listeners, you know.
Oh, well, yeah. It was Christmas. It was Christmas. And,
I mean, you got a very special gift.
I did. I
This
did
Christmas
get
from your sister. I'll mention that.
Amy purchased for me my childhood holy grail, which is the Playmates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Technodrome, which is not the original one, but it's gotten a re-release. And she got that for me. So I was like, it was basically like Christmas 1990 or whatever for me.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Again.
There's a great photo. We should share it online. We should share it of
Sure.
Justin with his Technodrome.
My childhood joy.
His white whale.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I'm very appreciative of it. It's sitting in my room right now. Just looking wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was a good Christmas. Good, nice, low key. Mm-hmm. There was no drama. Nobody went to the hospital. It was, we went to see Nosferatu on
We
Christmas.
did, yeah.
Just nothing says Christmas like vampires.
Like Nosferatu. I mean, there's a tradition of like ghost stories and spooky stories.
That's true.
And Christmas.
And
you know?
there's a scene on Christmas in the movie.
Yeah, so I'm counting it. It's Christmas.
Yeah, I mean,
movie.
it's basically a Christmas movie. Essentially. We saw it on Christmas. We're not here, however, to talk about Christmas or Nosferatu.
Damn it.
I know. You mean our nostalgia podcast? We're not going to talk about a movie that came out a week ago? We're going to talk about movies that came out.
We could talk about the original that came out like 100 years ago.
That's true. We could. That's really nostalgic. That's getting into Titanic podcast territory.
Titanic
there.
nostalgia.
We are, however, going to do now. Last year was the first year we did this, right? Our year in cool.
I think so, yeah.
And
we're going to take a look back.
We're going to take a way back. We're sticking with the whole 30 years prior, which is just crazy to think. 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. No?
Nope. 30 years. Jesus.
Oh, God, it is.
20 years.
20 years ago, it was 1990, and I'm sticking in with that. Okay.
That's
We're doing a
tell me
year in
nothing.
cool. Can't tell me nothing. We're doing a year in cool for 1994. We just got done with 2024.
yeah. As
but
we're
we don't
recording
wanna
this, it's
recap
New
that.
Year's Day morning.
Yes.
I did not make
is.
it to midnight last night. I fell asleep on the couch.
Yeah, I knew you would.
So that's why, I want to do in the year in cool. It's like I want to do 2024.
No.
So that's
Oh, God.
I'm an old man falling asleep on the couch by 11. I want to do an actual cool year.
Yeah, like 1994.
Like 1994.
And boy, it was a big year, particularly in the movie department.
Oh, there's a lot of good movies that come out
A
in
lot
94.
going on in
94 and
1994.
99. Those are like the two best years for 90s movies, I feel like.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about what you and I personally were doing in 1994. How old would we have been?
So I guess I would have turned 9 in 1994.
Yep. So I would have been 7.
We were still living in Florida, and I think this was like my 4th grade year. Mrs. Zubler.
Oh, yep. Shout out.
I don't know if you
Miss
remember her,
Zubler.
Miss Zubler, and Miss
I do.
Neal. Yeah, those were my teachers. I still remember them.
I would have been.
Miss
I had
Zubler
Miss
distinctly.
Stauffer. For 2nd grade. I don't remember the other 2nd grade teacher, but I had Miss Stauffer.
Like 1994 for me was like, I'm hardcore into wrestling at this point. I'm hardcore into Goosebumps.
Yeah.
At this point, the Ninja Turtles is kind of my Ninja Turtle interest winding down a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
super into Weird Al.
Yes.
Super, like, this is the year of Pogs, if I'm recalling correctly.
I think it is, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I was doing. I have like distinct memories of this year during the year of the Pog. Of sitting outside.
As we will henceforth to
That's the Chinese zodiac. It's the year of the
year
Pog.
of the Pog.
It's 1994.
What year were you born? The year of the rabbit? The year of the Pog.
The year of the Pog, 1994.
The last
Well, now
year
we're going to have to go
could-
through every year in the 80s and 90s and assign Chinese zodiacs. But that's for another time.
That's for another time. That could be a mini-sode.
Megasode.
1994 is, I think, the generally considered the last year, if you were born in 1994, to be considered a millennial.
Is that it, 94?
I think some people say 94, some people say 96 or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I see 94. I consider 94.
Okay.
There's a big shift there after that.
94, I feel like we've talked about it on the show before, how it's like it's almost like there's three 90s.
Yes.
There's the early 90s, which feel very much like the 80s, kind
Sure.
of just an extension of the late 80s. And then you have the like middle 90s, which
Yeah.
is like more grungy and flannel and alternative and
Yeah.
that sort of aesthetic. And then
Yeah.
you have the late 90s, which in my mind immediately goes to like TRL and boy bands
And pop princesses.
pop and yeah.
getting into that millennium fashion of like as we
Yes.
got closer to 2000.
But this is like 94 is like maybe I think you could make the argument that 94 is like really the first year that's like truly the 90s.
Feels like the 90s.
That
yeah.
feels like that like the last remnants of like that 80s feel are kind of gone.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, and I think that's reflected a lot in the music that we'll talk about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, as we get down to that, but
So
first off,
we should say we're gonna talk in this episode we're gonna talk movies. We're gonna talk music, which I love because I feel like we don't get to talk music nearly enough on this show.
yeah, we don't.
We should do something about that. Who's in charge of these things?
I don't know.
We're going to talk about
management.
television. You know we're going to talk about television.
Obvi, yeah.
And one that we're going to talk about that is really kind of unique and I think is going to be fun is we're going to talk about news. What was in the news during the year in 1994?
Yeah, because I mean that's really
and if you read the notes, then
Big
you know
year.
there's some pretty entertaining stuff going on in 1994. Now that's not
pretty
always
big
good,
stuff.
but pretty big stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about movies first, though.
Yeah, that's we're almost a movie podcast at this point. I'm not mad about it.
So as I'm putting the podcast together, kind of where I started with the movies was two places. What was the domestic box office, like what were the top movies of the year, and then I wanted to look at the Academy Awards for that year and see the winners. Now, these are two very different vibes.
Incredibly different lists.
The domestic box office is full of fun movies that we're going to talk about here in a second. The Academy Awards that year in 1994
Grim.
was dominated by some of the least funny, like I got no jokes I can't make about any
Not
of these
even
movies.
funny, just fun. Least
Like
fun.
this is the year of Schindler's List. So right
And
there,
Philadelphia.
and Philadelphia. So right there, that tells you the vibe of the Academy Awards. So I don't really have any Schindler's List or
the
age
vibe
jokes
of the
I want to
Academy
do.
Awards.
Yeah, it killed.
Guilt.
And then you had it was all a bunch of historical dramas.
Yes.
It was Remains of the Day with
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, yes,
Yeah.
and The Piano.
The only relatively fun one's The Fugitive.
God, can we
I've never
Can we just
seen.
talk about The Fugitive? You've never seen it, Amy? Put that at the top of your watch list because The Fugitive is a legit great movie.
There's a lot of those classic 90s action thrillers that I just missed because I was a kid.
Dad movies.
Dad movies, yeah.
I mean, our dad, but dads in general.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know,
yeah.
I went through a phase. We're getting off topic now. No, we're talking about The Fugitive, which came out in
topic.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I went through a phase a year or two ago where I wanted to visit a lot of those like the like Clear and Present Danger, and
Yeah.
a lot of those like Harrison Ford,
Air Force
Jack
One.
Ryan, Air Force. I definitely watched Air Force One.
Never seen that. I've never seen any of those movies.
The Fugitive, though, is maybe the best of those movies. It's one of the best. The
okay.
Fugitive's really, really good.
Okay. Should Harrison Ford be my like actor of the year, where I try to go back and watch all the Harrison Ford movies, like I did with Nicolas Cage a few years ago?
Absolutely, you could. I mean, there's a lot of great Harrison Ford movies. Witness is a good one.
Never seen that one. Yeah.
So yeah, I have nothing funny to say really about any of these movies.
No.
So the Academy Awards was grim that year. It was all Holocaust and AIDS.
Yes.
So we're gonna move on from that.
Yeah, we're gonna move on from that because the domestic box office looked very different.
Amy, run down. Yeah, This is much more our vibe.
Yeah. Well, let's start with
let's run it down.
Our number 10 here.
Oh, you want to go 10 to 1?
10 to 1. Yeah.
10 to 1. We got. Yeah, you're right.
A countdown. We got number 10. We got Interview with the Vampire,
which I rewatched this past Halloween, and I gotta say,
Ooh.
it holds up. It's great.
It is. I didn't see that till much later, like maybe 5 years ago. I watched
very gay. Very gay.
Vampire movies are a little gay.
This one is exceptionally gay.
Yes.
Not that that's a bad thing.
No, it just is.
It's a great movie. It just is.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna watch two gay vampires, you could do a whole lot worse than those two.
Boy,
three with Antonio Banderas.
It was like the two hottest stars in the 90s, like popularity and considered like two of the most attractive stars.
People
in the
Magazine's
90s.
most beautiful person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, and you put them
Just
in a movie
making out.
gay vampires together.
Gay vampires.
People must have been losing their damn minds. Moms everywhere.
Plus
their
it had
minds, losing their
it had
panties.
what's his name, who was also a heartthrob. Well, it had Antonio Banderas, and then it had what's his name, who plays the interviewer. Damn it.
Christian Slater.
It's Christian Slater. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just a movie full of hotties.
It's just a
What
feast
was poor
for the
little
eyes.
Kirsten Dunst to do? I would have just been like,
Oh, she's so good at interviewing.
God, she's so good. God.
So yeah,
Well-
I watched that. I rewatched that recently. Can attest.
Can attest
that
to it
holds
still
up.
slapping 30 years later.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie I haven't watched in a long time, number 9, and it
I
might
haven't either.
not hold up because I haven't seen it in a long
it's
time.
very tenuous
It's Mrs.
plot.
Doubtfire.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Which
haven't
is-
watched that in a while either.
I haven't watched it since I was a kid.
Oh. I did not watch it, I don't think, when I was a kid.
I definitely watched it when we were kids,
Okay.
but I haven't seen it in years. I remember liking it as a kid. I think it's
Yeah.
just a very bizarre plot that if you
It's-
just
I mean,
get
it's-
over
yeah,
how bizarre it is, then, I'm sure it'll still work.
and how
But
it would
what I
literally
should probably revisit.
never work. But so I'm really surprised that of the 3 Jim Carrey big hits that he did in 1994, which we discussed in an episode earlier this year, that only
year.
one of them that only one of them is in the top 10, and that is The Mask at number 8. Which is also not the one I would have thought. I would have thought it had been Dumb and
No, we
Dumber.
talked about that in the episode. The Mask was
yeah.
definitely the most popular.
I guess that's
Like
true.
Ace Ventura was popular, but I think it was too raunchy to like be a truly like kids movie. It was more like a
That's
teenager
true. I
movie.
guess if you're thinking,
And Dumb
quite
and
a
Dumber
few
wasn't
of
like a
these-
huge financial success. It was a success, but The Mask
Yeah.
was like, The Mask was everywhere in '94.
I guess looking back on it, I'm thinking, what's the most popular of those 3? Probably Dumb and Dumber. Like
Now,
I feel
probably,
like
yeah.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Mask was at number 8. You're gonna be very surprised. I've never seen the next one.
I'm
on
not
our
surprised.
list.
I'm not surprised at all anymore when
surprised
you
by
haven't
nothing
seen
anymore.
action classics.
Yeah,
Like Speed.
Speed. Never seen Speed.
That's crazy.
I know. It's on my list.
It's Keanu and Sandy
Maybe I need
B.
to prioritize some action movies this year, particularly
then-
90s.
I am your
90s.
guy. I am your guy because I went through that phase a couple years ago. I did 80s. And I did a deep dive into 80s action and then 90s and
Yeah,
yeah, I'm your guy.
I know it. Now I've never
Not
seen
that
the
Speed's
next
a deep
one.
dive. Clear and Present Danger. Yeah,
Is that Harrison Ford?
That is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the second Clear and Present Danger reference on the episode so far. I think it's time we do a movie club.
I mean, we're getting a list going of Harrison Ford dad movies that I need to watch.
Yeah, I think it's what you should run with this year. I think
I've
it needs
seen
to
The
be.
Age of Adeline.
That doesn't count.
He's in that.
No. Also, you
Obviously-
should just rewatch the first 3 Indiana Jones, even though I'm sure you've seen all of them.
I don't think I've ever seen all of the third one.
Oh, okay.
But I've seen
Third
all the
one's great.
others. Like, even the 2 newer ones.
Okay.
I think it's just the third one I've not seen all of.
The 5 on the list on the domestic box office
Mm-hmm.
for 94 is, I feel like, an really underrated classic. Like, it doesn't get the nostalgia love that I feel like it probably deserves.
Never
And
seen it.
it had the Flintstones.
Never seen it.
You've never seen the Flintstones? Okay.
No.
I think that the Flintstones was great.
I don't know
And
how I
John-
missed it.
John Goodman as Fred Flintstone,
I
like
know.
pristine casting.
A
It's got
pristine.
Agent Dale Cooper in it. He's the boss.
Oh, that's right. He is the boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually, if I'm looking, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these top 10 I've never seen. So I got to get on it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You've seen all of them?
Yes. I have. Yes. Number 4 is one we've covered on the show before. One
Sure
that
is.
I think both of us probably just rewatched within the last couple weeks.
We sure did.
The Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus. This has really become I really look forward to watching this movie every year. As an adult.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy it. It's like perfect 1994 Disney Christmas. And
It
Tim
is.
Allen's so goddamn funny.
He is.
He
He's
really is.
I hate that he's so good.
I know, I hate it too, but he is.
And he's so funny on Home Improvement. Damn it.
I know.
That's such a good show.
Oh, no, that was terrible.
Okay. Ooh, 90s action. Please tell me you've seen True Lies.
Nope.
Are you fucking kidding me, Amy?
I'm
All right,
not.
well, we're starting with True Lies. True Lies is
okay.
number 3.
Cancel all our plans today. We're going to actually watch True Lies. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Fuck it. Like,
I
that's
should men-
also one of my wife's favorite movies.
Oh, interesting.
And we got to, a few years ago, we were in the Keys and got to ride alongside. And the big finale of True Lies is on this, like, bridge way out in the ocean, which was filmed on the
Like
bridge.
the 7 Mile Bridge that
Yeah.
goes into Key West. Oh.
Well, and like, so they filmed it on, like, there's a section where there's like an old bridge that you
Yes.
can't go on anymore.
Yes. And it's
And it was
filmed on
filmed
that.
out there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I was most excited in the Keys, being like, oh yeah, it's beautiful, Florida Keys and all that. True Lies Bridge.
Oh, God. Nope,
That's where
never seen-
Jamie Lee Curtis was dangling from the helicopter.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Jamie
True
Lee.
Lies is great. Probably the last great Arnold movie.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's
Jingle
it's
All
James-
the Way?
It's James Cameron, man. It's James
Is it?
Cameron directing Arnold and Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's James, Jamie, and Arnold?
Yes.
Wow.
And Tom Arnold.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
90s mega superstar Tom Arnold.
Fuck yeah. Look, I'm gonna make sure it happens by the next time we do a podcast. You will have seen True Lies.
Okay.
That's the energy we're going into 2025 with is
I do like
True
it.
Lies. Yeah.
Distract ourselves with movies. That is the energy I'm going with.
Yes.
Yes. These top 2 are such heavy hitters. You've got one for the parents,
Ooh.
one for the kids.
Yeah.
100%.
2 of the biggest movies of all time.
Of
I feel
all
like.
time. Still
are-
to this day.
Yeah.
Number 2, we have Forrest Gump,
Uh-huh.
which is just a great fucking movie. Every time I like catch it on Pluto or something, like I have to watch it.
Yeah, like
God, what a
what
great
can we
movie.
say about Forrest Gump that hasn't like been said to death?
Yeah.
Like it's a classic. Tom Hanks
Incredible
is-
performances, incredible soundtrack, incredible story. Just so good.
Yeah, makes me
and Justin-
cry every time.
Every time, like It's a Wonderful Life. Like I've not seen this 30 times, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember being like in my teenage years, and I had a TV in my bedroom, and it was on cable or something, and just sitting on. It was one of the. It's one of those movies like when it comes on, you just kind of like I'll just like sit down wherever I'm at and watch it. So I think I was like sitting on the edge of the bed with all the lights on or something, just because I was so into watching Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And it's the scene where he's talking to the grave at the end.
Good
and
God.
I started bawling, and our mom comes down and what's wrong? And I'm just like, Jenny. I was probably like 17 or 18.
Their kid is smart.
Oh God.
Oh God, when he meets him for the first time and he's like, is he?
Oh. No, you can't do it. I can't do it. Talk about Lion King. Talk about Lion King.
Yeah, our number one, also very fucking sad, is The Lion King.
A movie that I did not see until 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's
5 years ago.
Which is strange because I have a really distinct memory. Do you remember the Arwoods that we would go over to their house sometime? They had a big fancy house. Yeah. I remember watching that in their like movie room den.
I remember it being. I know what you're talking about. Okay. I remember that too, and I remember it being on in there and seeing some of it. Okay. But I was like, I think it was They were the first people I remember, the Arwoods, that had like a personal computer. That like it was before we got. I think it was like he was friends with Dad and he had one, and he kind of introduced our parents to it. And that's when we ended up getting one.
Yeah.
And because I remember being over at their house, and it was like my first time I'd ever been on a PC. And this would have been like Windows 95 maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 3.1.
Yeah.
And playing solitaire, and it was like the first time I'd ever like done that. And
so you were.
So I was. I think I was busy with
being
fascinated by the computer, and you were watching The Lion King or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I really do have a very vivid memory of that.
I like that we both remember that night specifically.
Yeah. That's where I saw it, because we didn't see that one in theaters.
No. But, I didn't see it until about a few weeks into COVID.
Wow.
I had gotten so far.
We're all going to die. I better watch The Lion King.
No, that's kind of how it was, honestly. As grim as that sounds, I had kind of gotten to a point in life where it was like, I've gone so long without seeing it. It's so crazy I've gone so long without seeing it that I'm actively avoiding it now. I can watch it anytime I want.
And you better now, because the world is burning.
Well, and then it was like we had just gotten Disney Plus, and it was like, I mean, we didn't know what was happening. You know, it really did seem like it was like apocalypto. Yeah. And I was like, well, if I'm going out, I guess it's time to watch The Lion King.
There you go.
So I watched it, and it was very good.
What were your thoughts?
Very good.
Yeah. Lion King is not...
I pretty much already knew the plot, because it's one of those, like...
Well, yeah.
How could you escape what it is about?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those movies that was just so popular, like...
Incredible soundtrack, Elton John. Incredible.
Man. Peak 90s Elton John.
90s.
Him and Phil Collins in the 90s in their Disney soundtracks, man.
He went so hard on that Tarzan soundtrack.
Oh, big time. Tarzan soundtrack.
Hard. Never seen Tarzan, though. Those late 90s ones, I missed those.
I don't think I've seen Tarzan either.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's your top 10 at the box office. So that's what people were watching. The Academy Awards was what? The old
people were watching the year before.
Yes.
So, like in 95, the Oscars was dominated by Forrest Gump, you know.
Yes. And, of course, The Mask.
Now there's... yes.
Yeah.
And, of course, The Flintstones.
Of course.
Now, there are obviously other movies in 1994 that did not make the top 10 that I feel like are at least worth mentioning.
Oh, God, yeah. Give us a rundown here.
I mean, number one that we haven't mentioned already is Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. I don't know how that's not in the box office.
I know. I didn't look. It might have come out like late in the year and then like blown up in 95 or something.
True.
So
that's true.
I know that happens a lot, you know, where it's like a movie will release in December, so it really doesn't like start making money until after the holidays.
Yeah. We also have Shawshank Redemption.
Another Forrest Gump and Shawshank Redemption.
I know.
Like,
talk about a movie
this
you
is
have
all
to
the
stop
same
and
year.
watch every time it's on. I guess. Well, I've come across Shawshank Redemption, so I guess that's what I'm watching.
I could probably count in the dozens of times in my ute where I was channel surfing and I got to TNT, and they know drama.
They do. They do know drama.
And I would get to the Shawshank Redemption, and it was like, well, this is what I'm doing for the next 3 hours.
Yep.
Like, no matter where it was, you know, I mean...
Great movie.
Oh,
Just pitch perfect. Absolutely perfect movie.
We've already mentioned Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber, of course, and did a whole
course.
episode on those. So if you want to hear us talk about Jim Carrey, go find that.
A couple of
Clerks.
other... we had Clerks. Never seen Clerks.
What are you doing with your life?
I don't know.
Things that aren't movies?
Yeah, I was watching the same TV shows a lot. Yeah.
The Crow? You ever seen The Crow?
Really have... No.
Amy.
That is one of Scott's favorite movies, and I've never actually watched it. Just watched Airheads for the first time this year.
Oh, Airheads is another one of those, like I would be channel surfing and find Shawshank Redemption on TNT. I would find Airheads on Comedy Central.
Or like USA or something. No, Comedy Central. It was Comedy Central.
Yeah, it was Comedy Central. Yeah. It was definitely a Comedy Central staple there in the mid-90s.
Yeah. We also had Richie Rich with the old Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, yes.
90s star Macaulay Culkin. That's a good one. Couple horror movies. We had In the Mouth of Madness and, don't forget, New Nightmare.
Yeah, In the Mouth of Madness, I feel like, is probably the last great John Carpenter movie.
Okay.
In the Mouth of Madness is so good if you haven't seen it.
I think I've
Sam
seen
Neill.
that one. No, I've not seen that one.
Ooh,
No.
it's a good one. I also love Ed Wood. I feel like we have to mention Ed Wood, which came
Never
out in
seen that.
'94, the Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
Maybe
You
1994 needs to be your theme for this year because a lot of these movies you haven't seen.
I'm missing several. Yeah. Do you mean that you don't think John Carpenter's Vampires was his magnum opus?
It was something.
Is that what
It
I'm
was
hearing?
something.
Watched that for the first time this year.
So that's what you're spending your time doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't blame
I'm
you.
not watching movies. I actually looked at my Letterboxd stats last night at about 2:30 a.m. because I was still awake. And 123 new to me movies I watched this year.
Cool. All right, let's talk. Let's transition a little here into television.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got 1994, big year in television.
Big year for NBC.
Well, this is the
NBC.
start of the must-see TV era.
Yes.
Yes.
Led by, I would say, for the four biggest sitcoms of the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. Gotta be. Seinfeld, Frasier, Friends, and Mad About You. This is the first year of Friends.
This is the beginning of Friends. Yep.
This is like the year that like Seinfeld really peaks and becomes like the biggest show in the world, and then Friends debuts this year as well.
To really take over that mantle once Seinfeld, goes off the air a couple years
But then
later.
you had those few glorious years there in the mid-late 90s where they were both on.
NBC was really
And
thriving.
America was laughing. America was happy.
And then, not only that, but they also had a new debut show called ER.
So they had the comedy and the drama locked down.
Man.
I have
NBC
never
really
seen an
was.
episode of ER.
I haven't either. I mean, maybe bits and pieces, but... No.
Yeah. Wasn't one that I was watching,
Medical drama. I've never been into medical dramas. I never watched House. I never watched
House either.
Grey's Anatomy. I've never watched Grey's Anatomy.
No.
Never. It's just not my thing. I don't
That's
care.
a good point. Yeah, I guess I'm not either.
It's fine. I'm just not particularly interested in drama set in medical. That's fine.
It's very sterile.
Quite sterile. Yes. Everybody's fucking.
Everybody's fucking
ABC's also killing it at this time. Not quite NBC level, but they've got Home Improvement.
They do have Home Improvement now. I feel like Home Improvement maybe it should be in that top sitcoms of the 90s.
Oh, absolutely.
God, what a time here.
What a time to be alive.
Even Mad About You, which doesn't really get talked about
Mad About
much.
You a lot.
I liked Mad About You when it was on.
Yeah, I liked it too. We had a lot as a couple of 8-year-olds to relate to with a Jewish man marrying a
yes.
non-Jewish woman in New York and just dealing with, We had so much to relate to with that. So
Yeah, just like we related to four single friends and their adventures in, again, New York. Or
we talking about
six- or
Seinfeld or
six.
Friends?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Or Frasier, of course.
Or Frasier, just Seattle.
Being highbrow in Seattle. ABC also, of course, had Roseanne at the time, and then they had Ellen and Grace Under Fire. A couple other
This
big
has
shows.
got to be toward the end of Roseanne, right? I mean, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but this has got to be on the
yeah.
downswing of Roseanne.
It is. I think Roseanne maybe ended in 96. I'm trying to remember from our Halloween episodes. 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it started in 88.
Okay.
It had 8 seasons. So, yeah. This is in the downswing. This
I've
is
never
not great.
seen Grace Under Fire. I think I watched a couple episodes of Ellen when it was on. I remember
I've
the
never really
hubbub
watched
about her
those.
coming out. And I mean, that's
Yeah.
my main memory of it. Probably
Yeah.
that's most people's main memory of it.
And then they also had the number 2 drama, so not too bad. They had NYPD Blue.
There's a lot of like 80s and 90s dramas that I feel like I should watch because I know they're great shows.
Yeah.
But like maybe they probably ran for like 10 years and they've got like 20 something episodes a season and I'm like,
know,
I'm
and
not
it just
committing to
seems
that. Like
life
there's a
is too
lot of
short.
those.
Yeah.
And NYPD Blue is one of them.
what
ER is
if
one
you-
of them.
What if you, just
know?
start watching Law and Order from the beginning?
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
The original.
Law and Order is
Actually,
just meant to,
SVU,
you're just
I
meant to
think, is
dip in and out of marathons of
surpassed.
Law and Order, I think.
Law and Order is meant to be on always.
There's always a channel show.
There's
Law and
just
Order.
a channel. It's like Pluto, where there's just a channel of just one show. Law and Order, all of them, is meant to be on all the time, and you just dip in and out as needed.
Yeah.
PRN.
Yeah, and it could be, it's always on in like waiting rooms at the doctor.
Uh-huh.
It's always on in like I'm waiting to get my oil changed,
Yeah.
and it's
And you
it's
get
Law
like
and
the
Order.
middle 25 minutes, so like you don't know the setup and you never find out the ending.
And I never find out what happens. Yes, that's most
That's
of
how
my
Law and Order
experience
is
with Law and
meant
Order.
to be consumed. So we mentioned, Friends debuted, ER debuted in 1994, go on to have very long, successful runs. We also had a couple other shows of note to debut in 1994. All That.
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about like the Nickelodeon shows. Like, what was really, really on my radar? Like, I was definitely watching Seinfeld, and as the years went on, into Frasier and Friends,
Yeah.
and I was definitely
Home
watching
Improvement.
definitely watching Home Improvement. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, we were still very much we were a Nickelodeon household.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because this is the year The Secret World of Alex Mack started, and my ass was watching that.
Might be the peak of our childhood. Now that we're
I
like
know.
running all this down,
I
like
know.
Alex Mack starts, all that starts an institution.
Was this the last good year? Or was this
Well, the next
peak?
year we moved, and
then
it was
there
never
was-
good again. And then childhood
right.
was over. Yes. Hey Arnold debuts.
That was the end of The Innocents, yes.
It was. This is the last year of The Innocents.
Uh-huh.
The
You know what
Critic.
show... Oh, shit. Yeah, we loved The Critic.
I still love The Critic.
The Critic is
Very
good.
funny show. Got
You had-
overshadowed, I feel like, at the time. I mean, it wasn't The Simpsons,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, but very
man.
funny. You have a show. I tried watching this show probably 10 years ago, but with a lot of those 90s shows, even like Dawson's Creek and stuff, which I tried watching, I did get further in Dawson's Creek, but Party of Five started in 1994, and I feel like I could probably go back now and watch it, but it was almost just like so of its time, I couldn't quite connect. Because again, I was 7 years old when this show came on. But
yeah,
now,
I think
lived a lot of lives since then.
Yeah, I think its target audience was a little older than we were at the time. Mm-hmm. I've never seen an episode of Party. Okay. You want to talk stuff we've never seen?
Yeah.
I've never seen an episode of Party of Five. I've never seen an episode of Beverly Hills 90210. I've never seen an episode of what's the other one?
Melrose Place.
Melrose Place.
Have you ever seen an episode of? Did you already say Dawson's Creek?
I've never seen an episode of Dawson's Creek.
Okay. Well, I mean, none
there
of
you
that
go.
is super surprising. Those aren't really your thing.
No, that's not especially my vibe.
I watched like 3 seasons of Dawson's, the first 3 seasons of Dawson's Creek. like way later in life, like 10 years ago.
You know what is my vibe though?
Huh?
Thunder in Paradise with Hulk Hogan.
What the fuck is that?
Thunder in Paradise?
I don't
What the
remember
fuck is Thunder in Paradise?
I don't remember.
Thunder
that.
in Paradise was the height of television.
Was it? Not Friends?
It was Thunder in Paradise. Just
Okay.
yeah. Trust me.
Okay, and what was that? The peak of television that I don't remember.
It was like a Baywatch quality type show, but I'd say Baywatch is better.
Okay.
Thunder in Paradise was basically a vehicle for Hulk Hogan. In which he was like an action star living and filming in Clearwater. Because that's where he lived, and so it was basically an excuse for him and all of his buddies to film a fun... It's terrible. It's a terrible show. But it's full of like cameos from wrestlers. And speaking of Hulk Hogan, 1994 is the year he signs with WCW, and Thunder in Paradise was a big part of that deal. Like he still had with his contract with WCW, like he still had the freedom to do other stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Thunder in Paradise was more my vibe. But
I can imagine.
Oh my God.
A couple other big shows, though, actual big shows, that debuted this year. My So-Called Life, which I've never seen an episode of.
Nope, same.
Sister Sister, which I've seen many episodes of. Loved Sister Sister.
Mm-hmm.
And Touched by an Angel. That was another huge drama that I've
never seen an episode of that either, I don't think.
No, probably never will.
I can't foresee.
But so it was a big year for TV, though. I mean, you had a lot of good you had some big debuts, and then, but just also, like you said, in 1994, like you had all these strong sitcoms. You had 2 huge drama. Like there was just a lot. There was a lot of good stuff going on in 1994 on TV.
Yeah, there really was. I feel like this was one of if not the peaks of like just of sitcoms in television. Mm-hmm. Like it's got to be, right? I mean, just all those sitcoms we mentioned. I mean,
I would think
Nickelodeon was peaking for the kids.
The only thing that rivals that is like later when like The Office, Parks and Rec, 30, like NBC never gets quite as big, of course, as.
Well, I think you also had a generation before too in the 80s with like where you had Cheers and the Cosby Show.
Yes, absolutely.
And all of that on at the same time.
Yeah. So those peaks, there's like one a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for now. I don't think they have any. Nobody has any peaks anymore.
There hasn't been a sitcom peak in quite a while, I would say.
Quite a while. Well, it's just all different with streaming and everything. Something random that you've got in here in the notes, but I like, is that Turner Classic Movies debuted. In
the 100th anniversary of the first public movie showing in New York City, April 14th, 1994, Turner Classic Movies. And I want to be a guy that watches a lot of Turner Classic Movies.
I feel like you're moving in that direction. You couldn't make it to midnight last night, so
I kind of am. I find myself watching more and more black and white stuff, and I think it's indicative of where I'm headed.
Can't start movies past 7 p.m. You know,
I'll start them, but I won't finish them. I'll finish them in the morning.
Asleep. Yeah, I will fall asleep. Well, let's move on real quickly to the music that was hot.
Well, I want to hear you sing your rendition of each one of these songs.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today.
I have heard all these songs, so we're already doing better than the movie category.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Boy, the year of Ace of Base, huh? The only year they had, but what a year.
I will say that All That She Wants by Ace of Base is a banger. I fucking love that song.
As is The Sign. As is Don't Turn Around. They have
they're all
3
great
songs in the top 10 songs of the year.
That's really intense.
At 10, it's Don't Turn Around. At 9, it's All That She Wants. Great tune.
Baby, she's gone tomorrow and all that she wants.
So you got a rendition of that.
Okay, there we go. All for Love. Now, I might not remember this one. I probably know it if I heard it.
No, I don't know this. Was this for
Bryan
like
Adams,
Robin
Rod
Hood Men
Stewart,
in Tights soundtrack or something?
It was probably the Kevin Costner Robin Hood soundtrack.
Not Men in Tights. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and Sting. Oh, that is a vibe.
That is a vibe.
That is
a
a
vibe.
adult contempo vibe.
Oh yeah. Speaking of some adult contempo, here we got "Breathe Again," Tony Braxton.
Oh, it was. I was just informed. Breaking
Yeah.
news.
Breaking news.
All for Love is from the Three Musketeers movie.
Oh, thank you, April, doing the
Yeah.
doing the research for us there.
Yeah.
On the-
Our- keeping us honest.
And so they had to get 3 singers because 3 Musketeers.
They're the Three Musketeers.
It's them. The end of the movie, they just take off their skin, and it's just
It's Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and Sting.
You know, I've never seen that movie, so that could be the end.
You haven't?
Oh, I haven't. No.
Breathe Again, Tony Braxton.
Yeah.
God, Tony Braxton, I feel like no one talks about Tony Braxton anymore, but she dominated.
We're not talking enough about Tony.
No, really, I don't ever hear people bring up Tony Braxton anymore, but
God.
man, she
Unbreak
had
My Heart?
so many hits. Unbreak My Heart's a great song. Yeah.
Whew. That'll really get you. Number 6, we have "Stay" by Lisa Loeb, her only
God.
giant hit.
I love this song.
it's so
Eternal
good.
crush on Lisa Loeb.
Yeah. Yeah, she really was hitting everybody's hot librarian button there in 1994. with
Yeah,
the
that
glasses
was
and-
yeah, it was kind of I discovered the glasses thing.
Then you have "Hero."
But a great tune. A great tune.
Oh, it's a great tune. Then you have "Hero" by Mariah Carey. Talk about dominating the 90s. Jesus, Mariah Carey. So many hits.
Oh yeah. She still gets
I-
talked about, but mainly it's weird that she's Christmas now.
I
Like,
know, it's
she's-
like she's
she's
just
the
like
Christmas
the generation
diva.
knows her as just the lady that does that
The
Christmas
lady
song.
that
and
does
I'm
the
like,
Christmas song. I'm like, that's
What?
Mariah Carey.
put some goddamn respect on her name. Do you know how much of a long story
But she leans
career
into
has?
it. I mean, is she?
Well, sure.
That's her thing.
That's her thing. It's fine. I like that you have mixed up the next one. And
I know,
you have
I just
the
noticed
song
that.
being Celine Dion by the band The Power of Love.
Yeah, yeah. I just
Obviously,
noticed
this is
that.
The Power of Love by Celine Dion, which I now will never hear or think of without thinking of our friend Stephanie talking about. Was it this song I think that she sang at that sleepover at the mall or something? And ripped the microphone cord out. That's what I think it was this one. So now it's what I think of. So Stephanie, if you're listening, it might
Well-
not have been The Power of Love, but it was Celine Dion. I know.
Well, here's a transition for you. When I think of Stephanie, I think of middle school dances. And when
yeah.
I think of middle school dances, I think of a bunch of hormonal, pimply 12-year-olds swaying to the number
number
3
3
song of the
song.
year, I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men.
Like,
Just,
why were they like? We were 12. You know what I mean? And they're just
hey,
like,
they would play Pony by Genuine
know.
at those dances. It got much worse than that. At least I'll Make Love to You is about love.
It's tender.
Pony's about riding pony.
Yeah, pulling on your ponytail. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
There's a couple real good middle school
I was
bangers
gonna
on
say
this
actually the
list.
second one might be the number. Yeah, it's either this or Casey and JoJo.
All My Life as
All
the
My Life.
as the ultimate middle school dance slow song.
Yes, but the number 2 song is "I Swear." by All
It's got to
For
be
One.
one of those two. Those
one, yeah.
those are the ones.
Yeah. And now I think of Just Friends, the movie Just Friends, when I hear that song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But then Ace of Base coming out on top again. Number 1, The Sign.
Just that song was everywhere.
Oh man, remember when they did it on Full House? When the
yes.
girls recorded it on Full House?
Yeah. I always there's an episode of South Park where they it's like it's supposed to be like an unfrozen caveman that they unfreeze, but he's a guy from 1994, and they put him in a like exhibit like to observe him like they would like an unfrozen caveman, and
Yeah.
they make his like they wanted his habitation to be what he's familiar with.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a dorm room with like a Fargo poster on the wall, and Ace of Base, the sign is just like blasting every time they go in there.
They probably looked up what was the number 1 song in 1994.
Yeah. Also Fargo. We didn't talk about Fargo. One of
we
my
didn't talk about
favorite
Fargo?
movies.
Oh, that did
God.
come out in 94. I don't know why I thought that was 95. Oh man.
God, that's a top 10 movie for me.
We haven't even mentioned the Gin Blossoms.
Oh my God! Oh, there's
No, they
so
had
much.
to have been big. Well, we had something very sad happen in 1994 in the music industry, which was that Kurt Cobain committed suicide. In April of that year, Nirvana had been just dominating the early 90s. Like we talked about that before. You had like the hip hop going on and then grunge. Those were the two things that were really dominating the early 90s. And grunge continues in all of those bands that were trying to be Nirvana, kind of.
Yeah.
And that continues on through the mid 90s. But
I think 94 though, 94 I would argue is one of, if not the best year that grunge ever had. Like it feels a little later, but I mean, and it is the end of Nirvana. Like you get, Cobain I think writes the last Nirvana song in January.
Wow.
He commits suicide in April.
What was the last Nirvana song he wrote? Do you know?
You Know You're Right, I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
I also am looking in the notes. I did not realize that the famous Nirvana Unplugged in New York from MTV was released 7 months after he died. I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was recorded in very late 93, like November or December of 93. He commits suicide in April of 94, and then in November is when they release it, and that's, I mean,
I've seen
one of the greatest live album of all time. The greatest live for me. It's the greatest live performance of all time, or live album, or whatever. It's Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense, and it's Nirvana Unplugged in New York. Like,
what about Dave Matthews Band?
I would still put not above those two.
Okay.
Like those to me are the gold standard for live performances. Like Unplugged in New York, I absolutely wore that out.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think I've ever watched it in its entirety. I've seen bits and pieces.
You really should. It's so good, and it's so
idea.
sad and poignant.
Yeah.
Knowing what would happen soon after.
Yeah. That must have been crazy watching it, knowing it had already,
Yeah.
Just.
But you also get, so it's like you have the end of Nirvana, who were kind of.
But you had all these other bands.
I mean, 94 is the year of Pearl Jam, Vitalogy, which at that time, that's the album with Better Man.
Yeah.
Like that was at the time the fastest selling album in history.
Really?
Yeah. So and this is also the year of Black Hole Sun, Soundgarden, the Super Unknown. God. That album, which is like, I mean, these are like the top tier grunge albums.
Yeah.
Plus, Hole Live Through This is in 94.
Okay.
Which I love. Violet and Doll Parts.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, grunge was, after Cobain died, it was never really the same. So I feel like this was like this was the last big hurrah this year.
Yeah.
Of grunge, but like they went out on a huge bang. I mean,
yeah.
Those albums are all like top tier grunge, I think. Yeah. But you also had a lot of other stuff in rock going on.
Yeah, you had a lot of debuts of some people that were about to be huge.
You had punk.
Green Day.
Green Day bringing punk to the mainstream with Dookie, which is one of my favorite albums of the 90s. It's one of my favorite rock albums ever. I love that record. And man, that was huge with like teens and like people in their 20s. No, oh God, this album was huge. Like I remember that being like the first, that really was probably the first time I was exposed to punk music. I mean, I was 9 years old, so I didn't know much of punk, but that was, I just remember very distinctly experiencing that for the first time and hearing Basket Case and hearing, and I still one of my favorite SNL performances is them doing When I Come Around. On SNL. I've never watched that. It's just, I don't know, it's just a really good, I just remember watching it as a kid and loving that song. That's my favorite Green Day song.
Oh, okay.
And that performance is great.
They're kind of, I feel like they're kind of cheesy now. Green Day is a little cheesy now.
Oh, they're definitely cheesy now.
Okay. I was like, am I picking up on some cheese? I mean, their American Idiot was the last, it was the last good.
Yeah, that was the last time I was really paying attention to a lot of what they were doing.
Yeah.
But you have all these like alt rock acts that are coming forward. This is the year of Beck, Mellow Gold.
Yeah.
Which was Loser, which is one of the biggest songs of the 90s.
Songs of the 90s, yes. Also had the Blue album by Weezer.
Debut album of Weezer.
Buddy Holly.
Another one, like I would put Green Day Dookie. I would put the Blue album Weezer.
Yeah.
On my short list of best albums of the 90s, like right there.
Yeah.
Another one, Jeff Buckley, Grace, his only album.
Yeah.
Just incredible. This is also like this is one their debut, but this is when Nine Inch Nails put out Downward Spiral, and that took off, and they became a big deal.
Yeah.
So like you had all these different kinds of, it was like grunge was kind of peaking, but then you had these kind of alternative rock. It was like Weezer and Beck are kind of this like nerdy alt rock, and Green Day is more punk, and Nine Inch Nails is more like industrial.
Right. But then you had like,
Jeff Buckley's more classic.
Yeah. You had like Portishead, Oasis.
Oasis definitely maybe is in 94. I mean, this was and I think Park Life also by Blur is 94. So like you had that Britpop, like the popping off.
Yeah, literally popping off.
God, Portishead Dummy is another one of on the short list of my favorite 90s albums. I don't think I've ever heard a Portishead song. Oh,
or if I have, I don't know it.
Reminders. Leave me alone.
Now, also a very big year in hip hop, rap, R&B. Crazy Sexy Cool. Are you kidding me? TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool was this year? Like that's...
Yeah, I want you to take the lead on this one because it's Crazy Sexy Cool. It's Salt and Peppa.
What a man. We got Warren G and Nate Dogg, Regulators.
Now, that might be, that might be the best. That might be the best actual song of the year. Regulators. I love Regulators.
It's a clear black night, a cool black night, a clear white moon.
Warren G was on the street trying to consume.
Yeah.
Mount up. I love that song.
Mount up. We used to listen. We had that on Napster.
Mm-hmm.
We used to listen. I used to listen to Regulator.
You know, another 1994 song I had on Napster. I guarantee, Gin and Juice.
Absolutely, you did.
Yeah. Yes. And a funny country cover of it or bluegrass cover of it. I'm sure.
We also had debut albums from Nas and Outkast.
It's hilarious hearing you say you said that like the whitest lady ever. You're like, and we had debut albums from Nas and the Outkast. I did not say
Nas.
Nas's album Illmatic.
And
the Outkast Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music.
Shut up. Well, we did.
This is so basic. Yeah, we did. We did.
We did.
Now here's we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up with news from 1994, which is basically two stories, and I want you to kind of take the lead on them because I feel like they're right up your alley.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I was a big fan of figure skating. I think most, probably a lot of little girls when the Olympics were going on were like myself. Winter Olympics, it was all about figure skating, and Summer Olympics, it was all about gymnastics. And also, in the early 90s, the USA was fucking dominating in both of those, in the women's division. USA. I mean, you had like the was it 1996, like, USA Gymnastics, women's, I mean, like, the early 90s for both of those sports in the US was huge. And of course, the early 90s, it was all about Nancy Kerrigan.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 1994, January 6th.
Nothing good happens.
What is it with that date? January 6th, 1994, Nancy Kerrigan is attacked by Shane Stant, who was absolutely hired by Tanya Harding.
Now you say attacked.
Well, she was...
Elaborate on that.
She was bludgeoned with like a metal police baton. Like...
After practice.
At an
arena.
She was leaving the arena, walking down the corridor, and she was attacked and bludgeoned with that. Specifically her leg. You'd think if someone was going to bludgeon someone, they'd probably hit him in the head. No?
Well, they're not trying to kill her.
I know.
They're trying to take her out.
I know. Yep.
And what's so interesting is that there's raw footage of pretty much the whole thing except the attack, because there's footage of her. She's at practice basically, and there's footage of her practicing and then leaving
because
practice.
she's prepping for the '94 Olympics, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's there's cameras there and everything, and then it happens, and then there's the very famous footage of her after it happened. Basically, she was hit in the knee and around the knee and just busted her shit all up.
Yeah.
Why?
I always remember her going, why?
I know. Why? God, could you... I mean, it of course it became one of those things where it was like, it was a joke during late night monologues and SNL and things like that. But goddamn, to think... I mean, the athletes of the Olympics, that's their entire life. Their entire life is training to be Olympic athletes and to do these things. And so, I can't imagine what
and some trailer park trash.
Yeah.
Hires some goon
who's just jealous
bust your
of
knee
you.
up.
Yeah. Oh. Have you ever watched I, Tonya, by the way?
No.
It's great. It's a great movie.
So, it's proven that Tonya Harding, that her and her ex-husband did this, right?
I don't know legally what they ever ended up, proving and stuff. They maintain their innocence to this day. But I don't know
But they totally did that shit.
Oh, 100%.
The two big stories of 1994, the moral is they did that shit.
They fucking did, because the next story is the infamous White Bronco, O.J. Simpson, chase.
So the murder happens. Nicole
commits
Brown
the murder.
And Ron Coleman are murdered
by O.J. Simpson
on June 12th. And so from June 1994 until the trial ends in October 95, maybe.
Yeah.
This was all that was on the news.
This was it.
This was
you have to think that the 24-hour news cycle thing was just becoming... we didn't have news all the time.
Oh, we did. By this point, we definitely did. That started with CNN in the 80s.
But I don't know that we had 24-hour news, though.
We definitely did. We had headline news, which was a channel just devoted to that.
Okay. Well, but the idea, everybody, this had 95 million viewers were watching in real time, this White Bronco chase. And
give a little context here. People might not remember.
It was a fucking event.
It was an event.
Okay, well, he finds out they're onto him, and he gets his friend to drive him in this White Bronco, and
he tries to make a daring escape.
Yep.
And
but he's innocent.
He's innocent. He's innocent.
That's why he tried to escape.
The chase happens on June 17th. So about a week or so after the murders. Mm-hmm. And it's actually during Game 5 of the NBA Finals. So it interrupts coverage. So you already have a shitload of people watching that.
Right.
And this is basically happens in prime time.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you're near a TV.
We were watching it.
We were watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is watching a slow speed car chase down the freeway in LA. In him and his friend driving the White Bronco, followed by dozens of cop cars.
Oh my God. But he's innocent. I just want to point that out.
He did that shit.
He obviously was innocent, and that's why he fled.
Yes.
Because he didn't want to go to jail for something he didn't do, so he fled.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was such a big fucking deal, and this whole trial was just...
It went on forever. It felt like half of my childhood was the O.J. Simpson trial. Oh my God, we are coming up on the anniversary of it, aren't we?
Yep, next year.
No, this year.
This year. Oh my God. So at the end of this year, next year, whenever we do our year in cool of 1995,
it's going to be all O.J. Simpson.
The whole episode's just O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
We'll actually just do a play-by-play of the trial. I'll never forget, Mom said they put our house on the market the day the trial began, and it sold the day the trial ended. and that
which
was when
like
we moved.
10 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our house was on the market for a long time. And that was, and then that's when we moved up here.
Yep.
So OJ went free, and we moved up here, and nothing was ever the same.
Yep. Murder was legalized in the state of California.
That's right. That's right.
And basically,
So
that was the news. For the foreseeable future, that happens over the summer of 94. For the foreseeable future, that's the news, is OJ.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so that was it. That was
we got to see the actual white Bronco, which is on display in a museum not far from where we live.
That's very true.
About an hour and a half from a true crime museum.
It sure is. Well, that was our year in cool.
Cool.
Yeah, murder's not cool, but the rest of this, pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool year.
Pretty cool year.
I mean, the murders weren't cool, but the Bronco
murder
chase
and the
was kind of
bludgeoning,
cool.
that was not cool. But the rest of it, well, and the just all the death, all the other stuff, pretty cool. You know, Flintstones.
Flintstones? Yeah.
Flintstones.
So,
remember at the top of the episode when we were talking about, it's like we started with the box office and then we ended with the Oscars. We ended with the bummer stuff.
Now we're going to talk about Schindler's List for 25 minutes.
All right. No, we're going to wrap up. This is our first episode of the new year. We hope you all had a good 2024 and feel at least somewhat ready for another year of this shit. But keep listening to Cool Kids Club, and we will keep looking back to when things were better.
Cooler.
They were cooler.
Yeah.
They were
Hit us with some plugs, Amy.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, of course, you can find all of our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are also on the social medias. We are on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads at Cool Kids Club Pod. We are most active on Instagram, of course. You can also find us personally, individually on Instagram. Justin is at Lousy with Ghosts, and I am at Amy with 4 H's. Justin also has his own nerd room, nostalgia, toy, movie, everything Instagram, and that is called Cool Kid Clubhouse. So go over there and make sure to follow him as well. And of course, we would be remiss if we did not shout out Brian Hey Guys Wakefield for all of our banger theme songs. We're back to just Cool Kids Club for a while.
Yep. Back to the real world.
Wrap us up, would you?
Stay cool.
Oh, God. Until next time, guys. Stay cool.
Stay cool.
She leads a lonely life. She leads a lonely life. When she woke